Once again, Israel is under attack, and the whole international world attacks furiously at the one and only Jewish state here in the land of Israel. We're in Huwarrah now, and the audacious attacks against a hurting people that have just suffered the loss of two of their sons, the media has it completely backwards. We're going to tell you the true story of what is actually going on here in Huwarrah, not the international headlines that are completely misleading and off the mark completely. As I drove, a rock landed on my roof from a three-story apartment building.
It seems like the whole entire world is talking about this place and what's been happening here the last few days, but what has been the focus? So-called violent Jewish settler extremists committing acts of pogroms and violence against the Palestinian people. The world wants you to believe that after a couple of Israelis were killed in an attack, that hundreds or thousands of Jewish extremists came and attacked the Palestinian people, killing one, wounding many others, burning down houses, burning cars. We're here on location. We're gonna go find out the truth and show it to you. The mainstream media will not tell you this. All they will tell you is lies and propaganda, but we will bring you the truth. Are you ready? Let's go. Hi guys, it's 8 p.m. Sunday night on February 26th. Tragically, two Israeli Jewish brothers from the community of Huwarrah, which is where we are based, were murdered tonight in this town, the town of Huwarrah, the Arab town of Huwarrah in Samaria. Their names were Hillel and Yigal Yaniv. They're residents of Huwarrah. This is one of the worst terrorist attacks that's happened in a really long time in this area. They were shot point blank in their vehicle a couple hundred meters right behind us, and now obviously we're seeing all of the repercussions. The terrorists, as far as we know, has not been caught yet. All of the people that are all around us are coming out to show that they are not afraid, and they're not afraid to be living and thriving and settling in their homeland, Judea and Samaria, the heartland of Israel.
Yeah, guys, this just took place literally 2 or 3 hours ago. So this is very, very fresh, and this is the residents, the Israeli residents from the surrounding communities, the friends, the family of the two boys that were murdered. They've come out here, they've come to show their stance and what's happening. And obviously right behind you can see the fire. This is a junkyard here in this Arab village that's been caught on fire. But horrendous attack, horrendous a reality that the Jewish people in this area are living in. These Israelis that have come out, these are not extremists, they're not coming out here, they're not being violent, they're not all this stuff. There's families out here. They're coming to stand and say, no, we are proud to live in the land of Israel, and the world should have no problem with that. And this is what's happening right now, guys, in the town of Huwarrah after this horrific, horrific murder.
Less than 48 hours ago on Sunday, February 26th, two brothers, Hillel and Yigal, from the community of Huwarrah, which is less than a mile north of where we're standing right now, were driving through this village, the Arab town of Huwarrah. Their car was driving on the opposite side of the street. They get right here, another car crashed into them. They drive into the median. A Palestinian Arab gets out with a handgun, a 9mm handgun, shoots them point blank through their windshield, instantly killing both of them on the spot. It was more than a brutal terrorist attack. It was a brutal execution-style killing.
What you guys don't know is that we're very close to this family. These are not just random people. These are people that we know, talk to. These are our neighbors. These two brothers are, we spoke with, we knew them well. These people are not just anybody. This is very close and hard for us to deal with. We're telling you nothing but the truth of what happened here. We want you to know that the international world has this completely backwards. It's false. It's a horror scene here to have an Israeli, two Israelis murdered here on this site, and yet the world is not telling you the truth of what's happening.
There's a couple things I want to say, because why are we here? We're in the Arab village of Huwarrah. People call this a Palestinian village in the West Bank, right? Well, just for a note for Americans, from where I'm standing, there's a roundabout and I can see a sign that says US aid, okay? Your US tax dollars at work. What area is this in Judea and Samaria? This is called Area B. It's a road, it's an Arab village that's open to Israelis and Palestinian Arabs, okay? That's why we have both driving through this village. The other thing is that as we talk about the Jewish response to this attack, this felt like, even for us, okay, we're not Jews, we're here. This felt like something that snapped the straw on the camel's back, right? It felt like something, it was just too much. It was too brutal. Too many Jews have died just in the last 2 months. And so as we look at the response, just know this was a particularly horrific, brutal, barbaric execution that happened so close to home. Keep that in mind.
So just hours after the horrendous attack took place, I was driving back from Jerusalem and actually drove through here personally, myself. So everything that we're sharing here is firsthand accounts of the actual stories. This is not the news headlines that you're reading and the videos that you're seeing, again, that were pointed towards a specific rhetoric and an ideology that they want to get across. What we're sharing with you now is the truth. What actually happened here? There were tires burning in the streets as I was driving through here. There were, yes, rocks being thrown. And let's just say from both sides, there was Arabs up in these rooftops of these houses around us that were throwing rocks down. As I drove, a rock landed on my roof from a 3-story apartment building. Now, this can be vitally dangerous. And again, why were the Jewish people throwing rocks? The IDF was not present at that scene where I was, and nobody was responding to the Arabs that were throwing rocks from the top of the building at Jewish cars as myself was driving through. They're throwing rocks at me. So who is to stop this? That's the reason the Jewish youth there were throwing rocks to try to stop the Arab rock throwers that were throwing rocks on my car. Did you ever hear that? Well, that's one of the reasons why there was rocks being thrown. And of course, the cameras turn and the CNN gets the pictures of youth throwing rocks. Not all the youth were throwing rocks. There's a very small percentage of the youth that were throwing rocks, that were engaged in any kind of violent manner at all. The majority of the people that were here, when I drove through immediately after the attack, were women and children, fathers and brothers that were simply mourning the loss of their neighbor, their friend, their relative. That's the people that were here.
So if you've read any of the mainstream media headlines, one of the biggest things that you'll see is that dozens, or maybe even they'll say hundreds of Palestinian cars were burned, like a whole parking lot was set on fire. Well, I'm standing in front of the majority of the Arab cars that were actually burned. This is a junkyard. And no, I'm not gonna stand here and say it was okay to burn these vehicles or condone it or anything like that, but you should know this is a locked up junkyard, junk cars that were set on fire. There weren't people in here. They weren't trying to hurt people or kill people or set perfectly good cars on fire. This is about probably 40 or 50 cars in an Arab junkyard that were burned. So we're standing at the entrance of the town of Huwarrah, a couple hundred meters from where the terrorist attack took place. And when the mainstream media talks about the Jewish violent pogroms that took place against the Palestinian people of Huwarrah, this is where it happened. Guess what? We were here that night. There were several hundred Jewish people down here. The people of Huwarrah, the people of most of the other Jewish communities, the so-called settlements around here, they were standing here peacefully, protesting the deaths of their Jewish brothers. If we go a few hundred meters down there, yes, there were a few dozen Jewish teenagers. They were throwing rocks. Yes, there were some fires lighted. There was some cars that were burning. Was it most of the people that were here? No. Was it tons of all of the Jewish so-called settlers? No. Was half the town of Huwarrah burned down? No. You can see it for yourself. We barely found black smoke on the sides of a couple of buildings. We'll show it to you.
This whole town was at war. One, with the jihad that this town represents. This is a jihad town. The terrorists are taking over this town, and that's why 2 of the finest of Israel were murdered in this town by jihadists. This town supports it. They were passing candies in the town surrounding, celebrating the death of two of the most precious Israelis of this area. That's why the Israelis, they say, we have enough. We can't handle this, that our best men would fall to jihadists. We can't allow this anymore. That's why behind us now you see the IDF in full force, locking down until they find the terrorists that's still at loose. This is the war, and this is what's really going on in this town.
Here on the exact site of where the murder took place 2 days ago, I have a message for the world. If you support Israel, then take action. Do not be silent. We're not afraid. We're here in Israel's biblical heartland. You should not be afraid either. Pray for Israel, support Israel, and come to Israel's biblical heartland to show the world and to show Israel that you stand with them.
Israel, you have to know that they are, as the world comes unglued and attacks you even further, there are people of the nations that do support you, that say, yes, you have a right to your homeland. You have every right to drive down this road in safety. And we confirm that. We believe you have every right to stand here, to drive safely through this town, to live in these areas at peace and dwell securely in these neighborhoods and towns. And we support you, and we ask all those of the nations that are listening to let your voices be heard from here. Let Israel know that you care. To the Jewish nation, we say, Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live. Continue in strength.
Guys, if you are a supporter of Israel, then you have to support Israel's biblical heartland and the right of the Jewish people to live and settle and thrive in Judea and Samaria. I have a challenge for you. Come and put your feet, your boots on the ground in Israel's biblical heartland. Check out one of our volunteer programs that we have. Go to serveisrael.com. We'll put the links down in the description below. If you want to support our work so that we can continue fighting on behalf of the Jewish people in Judea and Samaria, Israel's heartland, you can support us financially at theisraelguys.com. We'll put all the links down below. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and please put your comment of support for Israel and the people of Israel down in the comment section below.